So I want to do a video on head coverings, because a lot of the Torah movement women get really caught up on this topic. It says in 1 Corinthians 11, "Be ye followers of me, even as I also am of Christ. Now I praise you, brethren, that ye remember me in all things, and keep the ordinances that I delivered them to you. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of every woman is the man, and the head of Christ is God. Every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonoureth his head. But every woman that prayeth or prophesieth with her head uncovered, dishonoureth her head. For that is even all one, as if she were shaven. For if the woman be not covered, let her also be shorn. But if she be ashamed for a woman to be shorn or shaven, let her be covered. For a man indeed ought not to cover his head, for as much as he is in the image of glory of God, but the woman is in the glory of the man. For the man is not of the woman, but the woman of the man. Neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man. For this cause ought the woman to have power on her head, because of the angels. Nevertheless, neither is the man without the woman, neither the woman without the man in the Lord. For as the woman is of the man, even so is the man also by the woman, but all things of God. Judge in yourselves, is it comely that a woman pray unto God uncovered? Doeth not her nature itself teach you that if a man have long hair, it is a shame unto you? But if a woman have long hair, it is a glory to her, for her hair is given her for a covering. But if any man seem to be contentious, we have no such customs, neither the churches of God." I didn't know if it kept going, but I think I can just stop there for now. So I kind of wanted to explain this concept because I've seen a lot of people who go sorry, I'm trying to set this up. I've seen a lot of people go to the letter of the law where it's like, oh, well, I have to have my head covered and stuff like that. When it's talking about a head covering, it literally says right here, "But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is God." Side note, that debunks the Trinity, because why would God be the head of God? Just saying. Anyway, that was just a little side note. When it's talking about a head covering, it's talking about a woman being covered. I'm not here to talk about a man being covered or anything like that. I'm strictly going to stick to the woman because that's the part that I completely understand. When it's talking about a head covering, it's not literally talking about a head covering or a wrap or anything like that. What it's talking about is having your head covered by God, having your head covered by your husband, and if you're unmarried, then you have your head covered by God. It's talking about being in submission to God. And Ecclesiasticus, Sirach, which is a removed book of the Bible, but it used to be in the Bible before other people got a hold of it. It was in the 1611 Bible. It talks about how a rebellious woman, I think it's in chapter 23, I'll put some of the verses up after this, but it talks about what happens to a woman who is rebellious against her husband, or who is rebellious, if you're not married, towards God, and what happens to her. So when it talks about a head covering in this sense, it's talking about being in submission to God. That's why it says all throughout the Bible, be in submission unto your husband. And if you think about it figuratively, you're the bride and Yeshua is the bridegroom. And you get married and you come into covenant with God. So God isn't literally your husband, it's a metaphor, of course, but it's talking about being into submission. When you become a rebellious woman and you start fulfilling Jezebel prophecy, well, that tells you what happens in Revelation 2 or 3, I think it is, that she was given a chance to repent. She didn't, so she died, and her children died with her. But what I'm trying to say is that your head covering isn't a literal head covering that you have to wear. Having your head covered is being into submission either to your husband or to God, Yeshua. Or Yeshua. They're not the same person. So I really just wanted to clear that up, because a lot of the women, they're like, oh, I have to have my head covered. I need to wear, I used to be one. I used to wear head coverings to church and stuff, and it's going to the letter Sorry, I got a text message. And it says, judging yourselves it comely that a woman pray unto God uncovered. So it's a shame to pray to God uncovered. And the reason is because if you're not in submission, you need to submit to God first before you start praying like that. You can't rebel against your husband and then sit there and beg God. I mean, you can beg him for forgiveness and repent, but you can't, it's a shame. And I had to learn that because I used to be a pretty rebellious woman. And I'm not proud of that. I'm saying this for testimony's sake. Sorry, my phone is trying to turn off while I'm making this video, and I don't understand why it's doing that. So sorry. I keep getting messages, and they're lovely, but I keep losing my track of thought. Anyway, yeah, so you don't have to literally have your head covered. Be in submission to God. That is what it's speaking about when it's talking about your head covering. And of course, it can also talk about it figuratively as well. When it's trying to give a allegory, well, not figuratively, an allegory, when it says a woman has long hair is a glory to her, for her hair is given her for covering. It's basically like saying, because in the verse says, do not nature teach itself that if a man have long hair, it is a shame unto him. And so it's talking about hair as like submission. Like if you see a man with long hair, you're like, oh, why does he have long hair? It's talking about being in submission. Because if you see an unruly woman who is not in submission to her husband, or a quiet woman, I always think, oh my goodness, what is she doing? Like my husband and I, we saw a few people. Sorry, I think I accidentally paused it. But we saw this woman in a grocery store, and she's just screaming at her husband, like literally screaming at him. And he was on crutches and stuff, and I felt so bad for the guy. And you just think, oh my goodness, like what is she doing? Like it's against nature. That's what the Bible's saying, that it's against nature. Like how can you pray? How can you ask God and be in submission if you're unruly and you speak reproachful and things like that? So I kind of just wanted to explain the head covering thing, and hopefully women won't be deceived on that they have to wear a head covering in the Torah movement, because you don't. But you do need to be in submission to God and your husband. And that's what it means to have your head properly covered. It's a sign of... Sorry, these videos are not really going well tonight, are they? I'm so sorry. But it's talking about being in submission. So submit to your husband, submit to God, submit to your church, submit to your elders. And that's what it means to truly have your head covered.